Good morning, everybody.
Say it. Say it.
Say what?
Good morning.
I did.
Well, it's a rare opportunity.
Right? Anyways, good morning. It's Cinco de Mayo. And what better way to celebrate than with a morning's worth of huevos de what's on Joe Mind?
That's what I'm talking about.
How do you like that, Weber? How's that for your intro right there?
It had a lot of huevos. I'll tell you that.
All sorts of huevos. I'm your host, Mike Irizarry. With me, of course, as always, former head of the G.I. Joe brand at Hasbro. It's the honcho, Mark Weber.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you know.
El Honcho.
Yeah, former, future. Who can say?
You know, probably not, but whatever.
Yeah, wishful thinking.
Right? We're here to be positive.
Yeah, exactly, and realistic. So what's up? Am I free at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday? Sure.
What do we have to do? What possible jobs could we have?
Yeah, no big deal. Delaying that baseball scoreboard, but whatever.
It's all right. Look,
I got priorities.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody understands when it's time to plug the damn show.
Well, when we find that person, we're going to herald them.
Right. And also joining us, making this a bi-continental affair from the shores of the United Kingdom. It's Dave. It's platypus.
He grew his hair out.
Even better. That's more than growing his hair out. That Dave couldn't grow that much hair out if you gave him 100 years.
It terrified me, right? Because we're trying to keep it clean with no Joe here, and we all know that Dave Tree's birds all curse.
Exactly.
So.
They sure do. Well, speaking of hair, I mean, this has been growing since the pandemic started. So, like, you know, that you're not far off there, Mike. So.
You don't
actually. That's not true. I did have a haircut because I was resembling Krusty the Clown. It was like just growing out sideways, and oh god, yeah, it looked terrible.
The problem is never getting what you have to grow long. The problem is to fill in the spots where it's not growing at all.
Well, that's what Sharpies are for. But like,
right. I'll be there soon. It's hard with red. Hard to find the right shade of red.
You have lots of hats, though, Mark. You're prepared.
Well, I got a couple of favorites, but yeah.
You got lots of hats.
Yeah, it makes me look tanner anyway, less light on my face. So
right, and Dave has a normal-sized head, so hats are an option for him.
Yes, right. I guess so. Like,
whereas you know this cinder block of a melon, I'm just happy that it's allowed to come in whatever color it wants, as long as it's showing up.
It's old Jerry Lawler line said, "Head like a farm animal."
Right. There you go. That's a good one. Right.
Yeah, between you and me, we're rocking like a 15 and a half.
Something like that.
If you wanted to put one giant fitted cap over both of our heads.
Do you guys have Mr. Men?
Have what?
Mr. Men. It was like a series of books by Roger Hargreaves. Did you ever have those?
Yes.
I think so. I remember them.
We did.
Well, there was Mr. Mischief who had the hat, and whenever he did anything mischievous, the hat would grow bigger and like swallow him up. So, like, I was going to say, the joke is kind of lost, but you know, you could have like just a giant hat with you both under it. That was like
a good idea. It's a good idea. At some point, we'll be walking around San Diego Comic-Con or something, wearing one combo sombrero, and it'll be just phenomenal.
That would be great, especially if you had like little eye holes, like
and fringe. It's got to have the hanging fringe, or it doesn't look classy.
Or it could be like in Despicable Me too, and it'll be nachos. You just and the brim is filled with avocado dip. You know,
not a bad idea. Or we could be at the Big Brim Bar from "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker." Fine establishment.
One rib.
How much for the ribs? I so am hungry.
Just one rib.
Pour my hand for that.
In honor of Dave, I am sipping tea from my Spider-Man mug today.
Oh, nice!
Ah, huzzah!
I am not into the day drinking just yet.
Is that a chip? I had chips.
That's
no,
good. That's kind of like
I'm just drinking sanitizer. You know,
it's good.
We're running low on supplies, so
Keep you healthy.
you know.
well, you're in lockdown again, so yeah. Semi-lockdown.
We're 3. I was going to say 3.5, but like we're at the tail end of 3, and it's like a phased integration back into society, which is probably a good thing for many people in the UK, because a lot of us have gone feral over the last few months.
I mean, what is feral in the UK? Is that using the wrong salad fork, or is that?
Well, it's when you also get a tetanus shot as well as the vaccine. You know, that's what they're making sure. Yeah. Or not putting your pinky out when you're drinking the tea.
Right. Because Brits are always so well behaved. I've been watching some football documentaries and always on their best behavior. Yeah.
Exemplary.
Yeah. No trouble at all. No trouble.
Fire up that Sex Pistols album.
Right.
So Dave, our fans who a couple of them are watching live now, and a few of them will catch us later. We hope, fingers crossed. We've complained for the last 6 months every week about what this pandemic has been for us. What's it been like for you guys in a bit more of a congested societal situation where people are just a little bit closer together than they are here in the States?
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that every single person's been affected in one way or another. Some people sadly have been affected far deeper than others. In many respects, you can always look back on things and say, this is what should have been done and things like that. And there's been a lot of criticism leveled about what was right, what was wrong, and I'm sure it's been the same stateside as well, about what to do. I think really what it's highlighted is how under prepared in the event of something like this coming along. The UK really was, and being where it is like a melting pot of a lot of cultures and things like that, and the freedom to like travel into like mainland Europe, for example, from like London and that, probably really didn't help things. They probably could have locked down things a bit further, but we've had 3 lockdowns. From my side of things, what I do is I run a toy shop. It's been tricky because you can't really do the retail side of things, but certainly online selling has skyrocketed. Although I'm sure people will disagree with this next bit, but like the availability of our beloved G.I. Joe has never been any better than it has been right now in the UK. We've not seen it available on the peg since Rise of Cobra, so it's a good 10 years absence. And although yes, there is been short supply, but that's been showing that there is the market is wanting these things, and there's been restocks of these things. We've started getting through the redecos of Scarlet and Duke now, which is really cool. And in some respects, the online social media groups in particular have really exploded over here in the UK. So historically, Action Force was kind of like a small community, and I think if anything now it is G.I. Joe as a whole is much bigger, largely thanks to Classified, because it's brought in all of these new collectors. Some of them are from Black Series collectors, and some of them are like Marvel Legends that they've gone, oh, this is like cool, and it's been a good recruiting platform there, and it's brought in a whole new load of fans and interest into the area. But it's all been kind of done virtually, which for me is massively frustrating. because I like to engage and interact with people. So it's been tricky, but it's not been terrible either. And it could be an awful, even with things like Brexit, which is not the best thing to perhaps people have had a lot of issues on that front, and it's been going on for years and not really kind of thought that through to perhaps the best it could have been. But even with problems like that, now we're hearing from suppliers, like the Suez Canal thing is creating delays for some toy companies. But
who shall remain nameless.
I think pandemic, Brexit, Suez Canal, all things considered, I'd say it's pretty good. At least a lot easier than the stories I hear stateside. People saying that they just can't get hold of stuff. I would say stuff is fairly reliable here.
Yeah, it's ghost town if you get into any Walmart, Target, what have you. There's pegs, but there's nothing on them.
Yeah.
So
well, there's Ghostbusters on them.
There's Ghostbusters on them usually. Yeah, you go in and usually your GI Joe peg is full of Ray Stantz and Egon Spengler.
And they are lonely.
Is that like the Kenner Retro ones, or?
Whoa.
That's not me.
That's me.
Oh, you can get that if you need to.
That's the tree.
Hang on.
Do it. Put them on.
Oh.
Hello.
One. Welcome to What's on Joe Mind.
Hello.
One second.
We can't have any fun. Oh, I'm trying to think how we can activate this. Hello, Dave Tree. Thank you for calling. Now I'm afraid we're sold out of that one. Yeah. We've got lots of Ghostbusters, though.
Lots of Ray Stantz.
So many Ray stunts. Buy 2 Ray, get 18 free.
Do you need a Winston Zedmore? We have lots of Winstons.
I saw the new line. It's amazing. How'd you do?
See, I muted the microphone, but I didn't mute you guys.
How'd you do?
There, and all I can do is, I'm a limey Brit, and I'm just like kind of like, should have thought of that.
You know what? For being unplanned, that was not a bad bit right there, right? Call him again, Mike. Call him.
Right? Yeah, I was going to get the phone here.
So if you need any customer service staff, Mike and I are obviously qualified and evidently available. So
fantastic. Well, I will definitely take you both up on that offer. That sounds like a very productive use of voice talent.
Yeah, we didn't even curse. We saved that for Joe.
Let's save that for the swear jar.
Swear jar.
Swear jar. Good. You hear more on the swear jar coming this Friday.
But, called a teaser.
That's right. We're teasing the swear jar.
Yeah.
Which may make it angry. We don't know. So anyway,
jar that swears.
It if all goes well, yes. But no, it's just anyway, we'll tell you Friday when all of the components of the swear jar are present. We will, currently.
You mean just Joe at this
point? Much. The driving force behind the swear jar is off making the world safe for democracy. So I don't want to get into all of the details of the swear jar here, although that would be a nice reward to the folks who are joining us here there's 10 of you on Wednesday morning.
Digging it.
Is everything all right with our viewing audience? Are you guys good? Because really the fact that there's 10 of you stuns me. And I'm a little concerned.
Right. You do make a real good point, though, Mike. We probably need all of the pieces to form Cursetron.
That's right.
We'll do that on Friday.
So with all due respect, Dave, I have to eschew any questions you may have about the swear jar.
Fair enough.
Besides, this is all about you, man. You're not here all the time. You have to tell us your business.
Okay.
So how have you kept yourself busy when you've been either stuck in a shop where nobody is shopping because the law prevents them from doing so, or like what do you when you finally punch that time card at the end of the day? What are you doing with yourself? How are you keeping yourself busy?
I've just been sat in the dark here alone with my thoughts. You know, you're the first people to speak to. Yeah, like literally like that. I'm just buffering the whole time, and I'm talking in the computer sense, but no. A lot of people associate all the cool stuff with doing events. We put on like different like toy events and stuff like that. So last year, put together a couple of different live stream events are on the Star Wars theme. So we did Farthest From Live in May, which working with a team of very talented people, put together all this content, and it was very indicative of that point in time, fresh into the pandemic, you know, where nobody knows what's going on. And we had like all people leaving messages, video messages that we like cut into like segues throughout the broadcast, saying, you know, be safe and stuff like that. And that was really cool. It was really well received, where people kind of like, I really miss going to the shows and, you know, can't really interact. And what was great with that is, rather than being people dependent on coming down and being part, you know, this instantly had like a worldwide reach. Then in June, July, we did a QVC Tribute, which again was selling Star Wars toys, and it was all done. So where you got like the live stream thing going on now, we had all like scrolling graphics, and we had like the buy box, on this side, you know, saying, you know, buy now, and then like low stock appearing. It was really cool. But it was like
that's kind of why I put you on the bottom row. So if you needed to point at us, because I still haven't figured out how to like, that's the first time I've ever pointed at Mark on the first try. Like I almost always go do that first.
Right.
Anyways.
But can you line up your fingers. Go on.
Which way am I going? This way.
Oh, wait.
Like Wonder Twins powers activated.
Here we go.
Form of a smiley face in a bucket of water.
So that looked like Mike just pulled your finger, but the QVC thing was a lot of fun. And then in August, so May, August, and December would normally when we run the Farthest From shows. So in August we then did a tribute to the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back, and it was incredible. We, you know, again, a lot of amazing content was created for it. It ended up being 12 hours long, which I never in a million years thought that would be the case. And like an idiot, I started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was then going to 2 in the morning. Yeah, and it was like, I mentioned to Mike, it was like the old style telethons where like people were running out of steam at the end of it, kind of like, you know, when will this end?
Once the Empire struck midnight,
right?
Yeah.
It slowed down.
Yeah, exactly.
Jerry Lewis staggering on stage with his tie off. Oh, yeah, thanks everybody. It's been a great telethon so far.
Yeah, this is it. And so everybody's been saying, when are you going to do the same thing for Rollout Roll Call? And that's very true. And the truth is, I want to, but I can't commit the amount of resource that is needed to be able to like do that. So what I'm going to try and do instead is do the QVC style live streams and do a G.I. Joe one, and then one for Marvel, one for Transformers, one for Star Wars, and things like that, and do them on Sunday night. So once I've got all that together, I'll give you guys the heads up, because it's more for the theatre of the QVC kind of experience rather than anything that I'm selling or anything like that. Which, you know, I'm sure there's
Blood Bowl.
You know, there's some top quality merchandise that would be available.
Bhutan.
I think I'm down to like the last 40 of these. Highly rare and collectible.
If you need any more, you could just go down to the convenience store on the corner and grab a couple. So you're good.
They're behind,
pretty much
behind Crystal Ball.
It's behind the U.S. Crystal Ball. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll be doing those sorts of things. And rollout roll call. Should everything be back to normal, will be back for October. You know, in the last couple of years, the plan was always to kind of do it in April and October, so twice a year, not in the same format as what we've had before, but like an easier, more accessible format that allows people to kind of like not all or nothing kind of thing, that you can kind of do it as a regular meetup and show. And we do that because that's what Farthest From became, where it was more about the social aspect rather than the toys being the main driver. So I want to kind of try and achieve that with rollout roll call. But the pandemic and timings of everything have kind of like gone against that. So if we're on for October, it will be 2 years since the last rollout roll call, which was a blast. It was you know, we did it here, and it was just really nice, and it was great to have people all come out. The you know, all the guys from Spain came over. Paddy Lennon came over from Ireland. You know, and it was really truly humbling to like sort of see people that going, yay, you know. And
I can only notice that I was not in attendance at that show.
Well, you know, that is, you know, you can fix that for October, surely. You know?
That was wasn't that an Interpol thing or something?
No comment.
Okay.
Moving
on.
Not comment.
Moving on.
But yeah, so there'll be news on that front, and then once I've got that, I'll appreciate any kind of like help from you guys, kind of spreading the word on that front.
So you would like us to plug the damn show?
Plug the damn show.
We can do that
every single time.
Two of us can.
That is completely out of the question.
Right? He's out just like that.
No,
it's a quick hook, man.
Exactly.
I rule the control board with an iron fist.
That's how it works. And a sore foot.
An iron fist. And so for folks who maybe have not been exposed to rollout roll call, explain why the origins of the name and the crowd that you're trying to get with that show.
Yeah, so that's a very, very good question there, Mike.
I'll be honest with everybody right here. It is the most challenging thing after doing this for 10 years to realize that we just did a format change about 7 months ago, so that there's all kinds of crap that we talk about that people have no idea what we're talking about. So I'm doing my best to go back and try and catch all of those. So anyway, rollout roll call, the history and origins.
So Rollout Roll Call is an event that's held in the UK that is catered for fans of not just like G.I. Joe and Action Force, but also Transformers. That is hence the name Rollout. So Transformers Rollout Roll Call. It's been going since 2010, which started off here in this merry shop, which was actually for a friend of mine. It was his birthday, and he was complaining that nothing ever happens for his birthday, where it was like end of January. So we decided to do like a gathering, and it then just like spawned from there. Over its history, it's been predominantly in Southampton. Some of us are still listening to the back episodes. Whew, no refunds.
That's our.
But its most regular base was in Southampton, which is a city about 30 miles from here, but is on the south coast of the UK. And we've had many luminaries of What's on Joe Mind in attendance, from Mike and Gary and James Kavanagh. We've also had guests like Larry Hammer and Fun Publications come over. I think we need Mr. Weber come over for the next one.
All I'm saying is a G.I. Joe and Transformers show sounds like WeberCon.
Right?
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Sounds like roll out roll call. Sounds like Mark WeberCon.
Frequently cloudy and rainy, right?
Yeah, you'll be fine. You know?
It's my kind of people, man.
Perhaps HonchoCon.
Oh, now we're talking about it.
Yeah. But
Honchimus Prime could make that. You bet.
So and the reason, one of the reasons for that is there's not actually a huge amount of brand dedicated events that take place in the UK. There's plenty of like toy shows, and there's a million Comic Cons, which is anything but actually comic book related. That, you know, they're just an event that have guests signing and lots of people selling Funko Pops, but not much else. You know, they, if you can be so inclined, every weekend you could be somewhere in this country attending something like that. But with the idea behind it was to kind of do specific things that are in an area of interest. So Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Action Force were kind of lumped together in that sense, which anybody outside of the UK might go, well, what's the relationship? But over here, during the Hasbro years and the Marvel comic years, the two brands were kind of like joined together in the same comic book format. So there is, you know, if you might have people who are singularly into one brand more than another, and that's totally fine. But the two coexisted quite frequently over here, so that's why those two are combined together, and it's great. You know, the best thing out of it is the friendships it spawned over the last sort of like 10 years or so, that I would never have the opportunity to like ever kind of probably cross paths with those people in much the same way that Joe Con was when I was fortunate to attend the couple of times that I went over. You know, you'd be seeing those people and you hadn't seen them since the last Joe Con, and you'd be like, you know, getting to like catch up with people. It's really great, and it's what grows a community. You know, keeps things going, keeps people engaged and interested. If only you could get the brands themselves to kind of understand the value that has and be a little bit more kind of not necessarily forthcoming, but just throw the occasional bone here, there, and everywhere, and including on such, you know, user-generated content like podcasts. You know, I think it is a massively overlooked resource that is available for fingertips. So yes, in short, come on over. The next show, HonchoCon. It will be there.
Some October.
With
some added baseball content of an evening.
That's good. See, now we're talking. And I'll be doing a special cricket panel, which won't go anywhere because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but cool.
I've actually, as I said to Mike earlier, I've actually got a baseball story that because every time I hear you talk about the podcast and things like that, I know nothing, absolutely nothing about baseball, and I actually spent a week with someone who I had absolutely no idea who they were, and you know, it was great and everything like that, but just completely oblivious.
Married.
Sorry?
Afterwards, they were married.
Yes, Yeah. But this was I think it was 2013, 2014. Star Wars had just been bought out by Disney, and where they have the official convention for Celebration, they did it over in Germany, and I got roped into driving the actor who plays Boba Fett all around Europe to do kind of various different appearances, which was really cool.
Jeremy Bullock, his name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and we were doing all these kind of sort of strange, loose Star Wars tie-ins that kind of Disney asked us to kind of do. Anyway, when we get to Germany, there's a large international audience there, like license holders and things like that. But a few people were kind of like, well, I don't know who these people are. I don't speak German. I don't know how to order food and things like that. So we kind of all would get together each day and get drinks, sometimes like food or whatever, depending on what was on the itinerary.
Wherever you are, get the schnitzel.
Yeah, it's very good. And one of these was a chap who was really nice, really cool, but had no kind of interest in Star Wars. He was kind of there because his wife was working a stand and stuff like that, and she did like Star Wars clothing, and he was like cool and everything like that, and I knew nothing about the guy other than he was the husband, but it turns out he was a chap called David Eckstein.
Okay.
And who was married to Ashley Eckstein, who runs her universe and is the voice of Ahsoka for and
the former shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah. So and I had no idea who this guy was, because again, when you're at a Star Wars show, and he's like, oh look, there's like C-3PO,
right.
People were like, and nobody's even sort of like pointed at this guy. So, you just there like talking away and things like that. And it was only when we got back, I remember I was having a conversation with Mike and Gary, and I remember Gary was like, what? No way.
Right.
And it was like, did you get his? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but he's like a Hall of Famer. And I was like, of what?
Right.
He was an all-star a couple of times. He was pretty good in his day. But to make it more so in your defense on this, like David Eckstein, for anybody who doesn't follow baseball in our crowd, which is probably all of you, he's 5'7" and 155 pounds.
Yeah, he's not an intimidating presence.
Yeah, he looks like he runs, and you'd think of him as an athlete because he probably goes out and runs 5 miles every day. But no, he was a legitimately really good player. He's got a World Series MVP under his belt. He's made I think at least one All-Star team. He was just a good ball player. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's a guy who was able to do that for a living for 12 years. So that puts him in the Hall of very good, at least.
Anybody who sticks in the big leagues is in the top 1% of their sport, right? Like, right. Just being around, you're a big deal. And now he's just Ahsoka's husband.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry it was reduced, because literally, I had.
I'll bet he loved
it. At no point did he kind of like allude to any of that. I mean, I think we just talked about everything under the sun, other than baseball, and he probably was aware of that because, but yeah, like completely clueless. Completely spent a week chatting to some guy. I was completely unaware. And then I get scolded by Mike and Gary.
You hung out
on return.
All-star shortstop in Germany.
Right. That gives you a unique perspective to answer the question, though. Who would win a fight between David Eckstein and Jeremy Bullock?
Our fans want to know.
Well, Jeremy sadly passed away earlier this year, and he was always a gentleman. But the thing that Jeremy was extremely good at was he was like as sharp as a razor and very, very quick on the humor. So I would imagine, in the fight, he would probably kind of be like the Dick Dastardly and get the upper hand by whatever means necessary, because that's just
hold his hand out and let David Eckstein's forehead hit him, and
yeah. He's always a very big practical joker. I'd imagine he'd probably have like some tripwires or something like that, like sorted out in anticipation.
At the end of the fight, David Eckstein's frozen in carbonite.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You know that's how it's going to end up.
Yeah. But that's my one and only baseball story. So like, but you'll be able to like educate everybody over at Honcho Con.
I don't think I've ever been the smartest guy in a room. I should try it.
2021, coming to a town near you.
Yeah, I'm starting my world tour. Let's go. Come on out, people. I'm going to break the pandemic or get everybody sick. Either way, I'm a harbinger of something.
I'm sorry. I gave myself a mental image of David Eckstein frozen in carbonite. I was done for a while.
And as they're loading him up, like Eric Ibar and Tony Phillips are like, that wouldn't have happened to me, man. Sucks to be you.
Who is it? Like Fernando Vina was his second baseman, but maybe Fernando Vina stands there.
Fernando Vina from?
But would he be frozen in the carbonite with like the baseball mitt like that? Like,
I think so. Yeah.
And because Fernando Vina was from Arizona State, I do owe Mark a love of bears.
That's what I'm talking about. Get that ASU up there.
There we go. He can't let go of his college days, Dave.
No, and but for the listeners, there's
a lot of things we can't let go of. Right.
If you had the Fernando Vina square in your home game for What's on Joe Mind, you win big prize.
You get that's I know that's the center square on a lot of those lottery tickets we sent out.
Yeah. Just go to Kokomo Toys and say, "Hey, I won the contest," and see if they give you something.
Oh yeah, well, Todd will give you something every time.
Yeah, maybe a one-way
if Amber catches him,
but
then
he'll give you a Garrison brother to be escorted to the door.
Right. Hey, you won something? It's right outside.
That's a good deal.
Charlie's a wonderful guy. But shout out to Charlie, right there. Normally he's in our live audience, so we're missing him today.
Yeah, where is he at? Come on, people.
Todd's probably putting him to work this late.
I was gonna say he's probably packing, isn't he? So like,
only on What's on Joe Mind do we show up and complain about our wonderful sponsor, Kokomo.
Okay. Let's rip on them.
Yeah. Their link in the description below. Shop at their eBay store. We'll get a link to Dave's wonderful shop in the UK as well. I just didn't want to put it in there in advance and give away what we were doing here today.
Right.
You'll notice that if you look on YouTube, the description is rather barren past just the normal stuff that I've clipped and pasted in there. So I didn't want to give away that our special guest was in fact super dude Dave Tree.
Normally the description is thorough and the show is barren. But
exactly.
We flipped it this time.
Well, I was going to say that's a very ingenious way of kind of making out that there was nothing prepared for this.
Yeah, marketing, baby.
But it's a good spin on it. I like that.
We should have Dave on Friday nights. What's that, like 3 a.m.?
And then
yes.
2 a.m. where Dave is. Yeah, we're 5 hours behind.
Historically, I've done that a couple of times as well.
You did that a few times on our program.
Yeah, no. There was the one that always I'll never forget was when it was with Chris and Eddie, and I can't remember what time we started, but daylight was coming up on a Saturday morning, here in the UK. And I remember sitting down in the kitchen. I remember thinking, literally been up all night, like doing this, like it's like some crossover episode. I can't remember.
I was going to say, did they get tired Dave because he stayed up, or angry Dave because he got up?
No, I'm always tired. Look at me. I'm only 20 years old, but like,
it's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
But but for me, it's kind of like, oh, I gotta go open up the shop. You know, it's not like I can I'm gonna crawl into bed now. It's like, you know, the birds are tweeting outside and that, and it was. I'll just never forget thinking, you know, it's been about 4 or 5 hours of recording them at this point. But,
yeah, that was the rare time we were sending Dave text messages. And, hey, still awake? Because we did something like it was a Saturday, and we recorded for probably 4 or 5 hours. I mean, it was just one of those mega, humongous episodes from the days of What's on Joe Mind past. And so, of course, it wound up being about a 3-hour episode. So it meant we're on the air with one another on Skype for about 5, and then we just were shooting the breeze afterwards. And it was late when we hung up on our end, like bedtime late for us. So plus,
well, Eddie was all right with it because he did night shifts anyway. So for him it was like, you know, his body was accustomed to it. Chris is always super energetic and hyped and that. And I was just like there kind of like, and now I've got to go to work.
The best part of that is when Mike signed off at 11:30, right? He looked at the clock and was like, man, it's late.
Finger everywhere.
And everybody else logged off and said, well, that was a haul, but we don't have to edit that audio.
Right.
5-hour audio edit. Good luck, Mike.
Well, that wasn't me editing, but at that point, that would have been Gary. So that would that's Godso's baby at that point. So he deserves all the credit for editing all from that time period.
Man, audio editing takes so much longer than you think.
Matt Rubin says not a lot of us in the fandom can pull all-nighters anymore. Yeah. Clearly, Matt Rubin hasn't run with the What's on Joe Mind team.
That's right. We go all night strong until we draw. Which
is just a lot earlier.
It's true. Yeah, and I should talk. I'm always the first one out on Friday nights. Good night, everybody. Point the finger, hit the bed. Yep.
It's when you get to what you got in and shout outs, and it's always like nothing.
Yeah. I mean, some of that's financially driven.
Come on, next person. Come on, let's wrap it up.
What'd you get in? Nah.
That's always the giveaway.
Oh, there's a teaser. Friday it's going to be a good What I Got In segment. Can't wait.
I'm glad it is for one of us.
Should be exciting with a dose of mystery.
Oh,
yeah. That's all I got in with some tea. That's all I got in.
No Frogman 2 this week?
No, why would I need 2 Frogmen?
Lady Frogman, perhaps.
Yeah, but that's not that would be weird looking exactly like regular Frogman.
Well, you know what? I think the head is somewhat, I was going to say ambiguous, but unisex.
You always do frog spawn.
I guess that works. Maybe
chains and a cape. Now we're talking. I know a guy.
I imagine it's the same ball and socket. I can try and get. Let's see. I'm looking at what female Marvel Legends Rob has on his shelf here.
Oh, we're gonna ruin one of Rob's. It's good. I got a one-armed Aurora you can use.
All right. Send that along then.
Just tried to move her arm just a little bit. Pop, no problem. Snapped right mid-bicep, like I'd never handled a toy before.
I had that happen once with a short-run custom toy once. I just picked it up and moved the elbow, and it
pop. This was from one of my daughters. She only has like 5 action figures. Pop right mid bicep.
How does your daughter only have 5 action figures?
She's not really into collectibles. Yeah, she's not really into collectibles. Whereas Derek has every Transformer ever, pretty much. And
there you go.
He's slowed down as he's gotten older. He's 14 now. But anytime a big one comes out, he's just like, I got to have all the Titans, Dad. So he's got a pretty impressive top shelf of all these gigantic robots 8 feet up in the air looking down at you. And I'm just waiting for one to fall or for one to start the Three Stooges domino effect. And yeah, so
which one's got the rickety joints?
Yeah, right. And probably one that I made, right? So then I can't even be mad. Like, man, why is that Devastator so tippy? Oh yeah, that was me. Yeah.
But you're not on the engineer team, so it's not totally.
No, but I always felt if you were the manager of brand development, you were the last, the buck stopped there. So unless the factory changed it too late and you weren't allowed to change it back, I always felt responsible for anything wonky. We had a figure come out at McFarlane Toys that said Quaterback instead of quarterback on it. It was great. And I'm a Steeler fan. We had one get out that was from Pittsburgh. Whoops. Sorry about that.
Everybody's scrabbling to find out what that is now. And
go find your. What was it? I think it was John Elway, Quaterback. Nice.
I'm trying to find something. Dave, you did have something that you wanted to share with us.
Well, how's this for exciting?
Dave, your claim to fame, we should point out, you're not just a merry shopkeeper in the UK. Like you've discovered stuff. You're something of a G.I. Joe and Star Wars archaeologist. So I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but like you're an A-list guy in the terms of the history of both of these properties for toys, because you just went and dug this stuff out of the ether. So I don't want everybody to think that you're just here because you're buddies with us. I mean,
which is why I'm here.
Part of it, sure. That's why we had you back. But like you've done plenty to merit being on a podcast with complete strangers as well. So I don't want to make it sound you're just here because we know this guy with a store. No, like you've done lots of work in both the Star Wars and the G.I. Joe hobbies to be a prominent historian, I guess is the term we can throw at you. Much like noted prominent historian David Tree.
That's a good one.
Wow.
Which includes we'll save that for another time because you have new stuff.
Well, it's not exactly new stuff, but it's something that I've not picked up on before. So, very quick, brief rundown for anybody listening from what Mike was talking about. Mentioned earlier, Star Wars Celebration. When the first Star Wars Celebration came to Europe, it was in London in 2007, and there was a stateside celebration taking place the same year. And one of my friends was the events director for the European one, and he reached out to me saying, I want content unique for that show so that anybody who's traveling to attend this show will not see that it's or not see that it's a diluted, watered down version of the stateside one. So it was the 30th anniversary of Star Wars. So I said, well, let's do like a history of Star Wars toys. And he's like, fantastic, great. You do it, you do like a museum exhibit. And I thought it'd be a walk in the park, and it was anything but, because there was no kind of documented study of Palatoy, who were the distributors of Star Wars in the UK, who also were the distributors for a time of Action Force and G.I. Joe Real American Hero products in the UK as well. So I started off this kind of whole venture of like trying to get all the as much detailed information as I can and bits and pieces, and along this route discovered various different bits and bobs and things that kind of hadn't really that were out there, but with what I was doing, it was then sort of like connecting the dots and making sense of various different bits and pieces and stuff like that. And that's always continued since. And I've been very fortunate to like talk about this sort of stuff at JoeCon, and for like Star Wars Celebration as well, primarily related to the realm of Palatoy. And anything like that is of huge interest for me, because G.I. Joe as a brand is such a powerhouse that it's quite fascinating for me to see how a third party might kind of look at that and subvert it to their local markets, because it was never billed over here as a real American hero. For the Hasbro years, it was always international heroes, and various characters got rewritten. I was actually looking at Falcon yesterday, and it just tickled me that it's a Green Beret, but like born in Somerset in the UK. And it's kind of like, well, of course he was. But you kind of get like all like these kind of like rewritten bits and pieces to kind of give it like an international feel, rather than it being an elite US military specialist force. But on that route, you kind of like come across paperwork and bits and pieces, and I've got what I will split the screen, and apologies if I get this completely wrong, but there was here we go.
Still hasn't popped up for me to share yet.
So is that working?
There we are.
There we go. So over in the UK, Atari was distributed by Parker Games, Parker Brothers. And Parker Brothers in the UK was owned by General Mills, who were part of the Kenner Toy Group. So even though Atari was a separate thing, Parker, there were the tie-ins here, and within that, General Mills owned Palatoy. So in the UK, a lot of the toy companies were quite often distribution partners for different things, for various different like toy lines. So in this respect, you got like the Atari version of, was it just called G.I. Joe in stateside for the Atari game?
I believe so. Or there was some kind of subtitle to it, like I can't get to it quickly.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
For the most part, like it was referred to as G.I. Joe because it was the first game for any system.
Yeah. So back at this point in time, you got things like the Empire Strikes Back and Jedi Arena. So you had like these licensed tie-ins come in, and most famously E.T. being the one that is sort of like crowned as the one that kind of like sunk it all. But what's cool about this is that this is in the Palatoy era of Action Force, which was more at this point in time for like the Red Shadows, but it's using the Cobra Command side of things that was in the Atari game. So in an Atari or a Parker Brothers newsletter, there was, and if I can get it to work, there we go. There was like this pretty neat little comic book, little comic strip to kind of explain or create a tie-in, because this video game has zero connection to Action Force at that point in time, other than the fact it is a reskin of an American G.I. Joe product, which at this had no kind of Cobra tie-in. So there's this cool little comic that is in one of the Parker Brothers newsletters to kind of give it some context. Now, it's not, anything that's not hasn't necessarily been seen before, but it's one that's probably kind of like a little bit off the beaten track for most people, because you're always looking at stuff related to the toys and the comics themselves. It's not often you see something that is from a third party piece of merchandise creating like a comic book strip. But yeah, just some very quick and dirty artwork, and puts into place within that video game that you're playing the part of Space Force and destroying the robotic Cobra missiles, satellites, things, who knows what. But for me, that was quite interesting that they kind of try to retcon that as as what they were creating in the background there, and that's what I meant earlier about, like, for me it's interesting to see how other countries subverted the G.I. Joe brand to suit their own purposes and their own storylines and stuff like that. So just something that I've not really kind of ever come across before. I don't know how well people are aware of it, because like I said, all these things are normally associated directly with the toys, but I thought it'd be worth kind of like just showing there, and people getting a fresh take or an additional sort of expanded storyline on Space Force and Baron Ironblood and Black Major there. But yeah, go make yourself some custom Cobra missile rocket things, whatever those things are. Oh, there you go. Baron's Cobra War Machine.
Wait for my order.
So, yeah, it's just a bit different. It would have been cool to kind of, I mean, you got the space cruiser there in one of the panels. And it's interesting. You've also got the pictures of the Space Force guys. They are almost depicted as they were in the Toy Fair catalog prototype form. So you've got like the Space Force pilot with the red helmet rather than the blue one, and then you got like these open featured bits here on both of the Space Force guys, so the security trooper and the patroller, which they didn't end up like that. So this would tell me that this was being developed back in early part of '83 to sort of like tie in and things like that. But I thought that'd be quite interesting and just a bit different for folks to see. But
yeah, anytime we can catch a look at our favorite property through outside eyes, it makes for a better experience for all of us. And of course, full thrust main rockets.
Right? That had I literally on the edge of my seat for all 7 panels.
It just reminded me like those Bazooka Joe comics. Yep. You know, it's just kind of like literally like that. That they're not like but it's just funny how they were like, well, we're just literally branding this as an Action Force game because it's branded as G.I. Joe, but it's got absolutely nothing. How are we gonna kind of just explain this away?
I'm impressed at that they took the effort, frankly.
Yeah, that's true.
Because really, nobody would have held them up on it had it just been like, oh, whatever, change the name from G.I. Joe to Action Force, push that thing out there. And just Action Force is fighting giant robot snakes, fine, whatever, great, but push it out there. And so at least they took the time. They were thinking about it, and you know what? Our kids are a little bit smarter than that. We have to at least give them some kind of setup for this. We have to put some kind of effort into branding this our way. They're just not going to believe that for whatever reason Baron Ironblood took the week off. wasn't interested in the world. It was his holiday week in October. Can't be bothered. And then some dude with big snakes came in his place. No,
yeah,
so
he comes back and he goes, "I've had 1 week off, and you've launched these things into space, like, you know." Who signed off on this?
It's a good thing that I am totally recharged by my time off.
Can't be evil all the time, right?
Exactly.
But I think
2 seconds.
Right? Oh, somebody's in the shop. He didn't mute his microphone either.
right? So that gives us a real opportunity here. In there, Governor, what?
We go full on Monty Python here.
I haven't cursed yet. Oh, there's some lovely filth down here.
I don't like spam.
I'm 37, not old.
It was a Pokemon delivery, so.
All right.
Well, you got to catch them all.
Oh.
Not just some, all. You know, you're either in or not. I hope it was Snorlax.
You got to catch most of them.
No idea.
Yeah, must catch some.
It's Jigglypuff that puts him to sleep. Snorlax is just the sleeper.
I don't know much about Pokemon, but I know Snorlax was Daryl's favorite. Like he was like Snorlax is the man.
All right.
So, okay.
We had like this plush one. It was about this sort of size, and he would snore, but he would literally vibrate, like shake as well. Yeah. It was really cool.
That's pretty cool.
Quite a cool little gimmick. Yeah.
I am going to take a moment and share something as well, because when you're going to get the chance, that
I'm waiting.
Here we go. It's an old video from all the cool stuff, and you can find this. I will have this in the description later on. So if you can't,
146,000.
Right, I like to think that I'm responsible for at least 6,000 of those. But here we go.
Welcome to another exciting All the Cool Stuff toy review. Earlier this year, the store caused a stir in the town when we received a delivery of giant My Little Ponies.
You look thrilled.
These were super limited, available through general retail channels.
Look at that lush head of hair you got going on 6 years ago.
Why didn't you tell us all about them?
6 ponies to choose from. They can be either Pinkie Pie, Applejack, Twilight Sparkle, Rarity, Rainbow Dash, or Fluttershy. Each pony has the standard accessories of 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 4 legs. Some of them even have wings. You also get a mane and a tail.
We're doing a little bit of YouTube Inception here.
There is also some stitched in details.
Layers within layers.
It looks like a hostage video, a little bit.
Keep waiting for the sound effect.
Blink twice if you need help.
If that's too big for your collection, you can always get a smaller one, which are available in the same characters.
Earlier this year, Ty only made 25 of each pony worldwide. Ty have informed us that they have made some subtle differences and updates to these reissues, but even so, they have only made 30 of each worldwide.
Look at Dave snuggling with his buddies.
£99.99 each, plus shipping. So if you want one, get in touch with us super quick as Dave needs his space.
Oh, it's his last bit that's the best.
Oh. And of course, please subscribe to that channel for more cool toy reviews. When was the last?
Whoa.
So there's our blast from the recent past.
I got into so much hassle about that whole thing because Ty are only based down the road from here.
Oh yeah.
And
good Lord. Come on.
And the account manager was like, these are store displays. We got them in the warehouse. They're not a retail product. Do you want to buy them? I was like, yeah, okay. We did that video, and like not fully appreciating the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic community at that point in time, which was kind of on the up and up and up and up.
I dare say,
like
meteoric rise.
Yeah, it was insane. And then I'm getting like the phone call from like the kept like, why'd you do that? Because like we're getting it updated with emails.
How,
So well, I'm selling them.
how quickly did you sell out of those 6?
Oh no, so there's more than 6. There were 6 different ones, but we had
You had more than just that.
yeah. The first time round, there was a bunch of them, and then we got like a second lot that they kind of again, I think they just done them to like just send out to stores as a kind of like a window thing. And then after they kind of whoever was committing to it, they just had these things left over. I think that they did do a third run, but I never got offered them.
I can't imagine how you weren't on that list.
Yeah,
boggles my mind.
But yeah, no, I mean, at that point in time for Thai, I don't know how big they are in the US, but their main product over here was Beanie Boos, which are the large kind of Beanie Baby kind of like replacement product. And then also from a license side of things, it was Peppa Pig, which is a preschool toy, or a preschool TV show, and to a degree Alvin and the Chipmunks as well, because at that point in time the Alvin movies were out and about. Yeah.
Mark's kids would have been right at that age.
No, they didn't get there. Like, you keep them away from Alvin and Barney and what else? Yo Gabba Gabba. Nah.
Oh yeah.
That's a college show. That's
but the My Little Ponies, that was all brand new to Thai. That was kind of like the first product that they done under a license with Hasbro. And it went absolutely crazy. And then I think they pulled or they didn't renew the license after 2 years. And then they did do the same tooling or the same patterns, I should say, for the into Beanie Boos. And they were kind of like saying that they were going to call it Thai Little Pony instead of My Little Pony. But that product only lasted about a year or so. They had effectively, it was the My Little Pony products, but like not done as My Little Pony. And I wouldn't be too surprised if there was probably like some form of communication to say that's not what we agreed on.
Right.
Path to a cease and desist.
Yeah. You're not allowed to knock off our products that directly unless it's a transformer. And then
ouch.
Whatever. And then whatever.
Yeah. But to be fair, the product didn't really sit in Beanie Boos either, though, because it was really obvious it wasn't like a Beanie Boo because of the aesthetic of those products within the eyes. So they kind of just really stuck out like a sore thumb anyway. But they only kind of made those for about a year or so before they just disappeared into the ether. Unofficial My Little Ponies.
Anyways, I could watch that video again and again just because of the comedy that you managed to infuse, often silently.
So I don't know if you caught the Empire 40, which was the live stream celebrating 40 years of Empire Strikes Back. But if you watch, it's available on the Farthest From Facebook page, and it's broken into 3 chunks, 3 live streams, because each one was like 4 hours long. But it's actually the very first one. The opening thing, we created this whole kind of homage of, start of Empire Strikes Back, the Star Destroyer, and then all like the probe droids all shooting out, and then again, talented people, nothing to do with me. It was then done like it was approaching planet Earth, and then sort of Google Earth moving towards like Fording Bridge.
Nice.
And then I'm just like walking across the road, and it's a shoe that hits me on the back of the head, right? Yeah, and it all like that. we had to redo that about 7 times, right? And like, oh my God, it really hurt. Like really, really hurt, because there was my friend Martin on the balcony, and Simon, and this is the guy who was saying who's the Marvel guy. You know, he was doing the filming, and he was like, no, we got to do it again. Because what was happening was I'm starting to wince because I know it's coming. He's like, no, you wince. We got to do it again. And like, he's telling Martin to welly this shoe at me, so it's convincing that it's hitting me on the head. And yeah, you can watch it, and you can see it's still there. But like, we redid it so many times, but I definitely got hit in the head about 8 times. And fudge, did it hurt?
I love the director saying, "Throw it hard." And Dave, you gotta stop pretending like you know it's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
We must have. I must have a blooper reel for this.
Oh no, there's definitely there's definitely things that he's done now. But like, yes, absolutely right, Matt. But oh God, that was really painful that day, and the novelty was wearing off very quickly as well, because we were doing like other things in the town hall, like other pickup shots and stuff like this as part of the intro. I was just like, you know, oh God.
I was in for bits and pieces of that event. I did not see the beginning of it though, so I will have to go check that.
Yeah, no, go back and watch it. It was a good way to start it off. I mean, it was kind of set the tone for the whole thing. But man, did it really? I mean, it's not like a shoe drop. It's like literally having a shoe thrown at your head every time.
And is this Martin McCanny?
No, this is Martin Keeler, who is he's a big Star Wars Black Series collector. You know, he does all like reviews and stuff like that. And then Simon Downs, who is a director of sorts, who took time out to kind of get his own back on me, I suppose. But
to answer a question from Sean Russell, are we having secret meetings without Joe Colton again? We never have secret meetings without Joe Colton. She knows we're here doing this. She's just off saving the world, like we said before.
Right.
She is keeping the world safe for democracy. Cannot join us on a Wednesday morning, even if it is Cinco de Mayo. And I have to think that she's at least 2 margaritas in by this point.
Yeah, she's saving the world, and then her secret identity is Wonder Woman. So figure that out. Just saying.
This is true.
I mean,
this is very, very true.
What's funny about this is that you were afraid we weren't going to be able to fill an hour, and we were storming onto it like an hour 15 here.
Well, this is a pre-show, isn't it? When we go live?
Arguably, we haven't filled an hour.
Right. We've been on an hour, but
I think that hot air balloon that is hooked up to this podcast that is now floating away begs to differ. But, Dave, we'll wind it up here so that the folks here can get back to work, man. But since you won't be joining us on Friday, I imagine you'll probably like be in bed or something. You got any shout outs? What do we need to know about Dave Tree and all the cool stuff and shout outs?
So if you're not aware, run a toy store called All the Cool Stuff, and also an event called Roll Out Roll Call, which is for fans of Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Action Force. You can find me on Facebook under either of those names, so All the Cool Stuff or Roll Out Roll Call. You'll find those pages there. I'd always appreciate a like and follow on those. And I have a physical toy store, or you can like shop online, which is allthecoolstuff.co.uk. And we stock lots of G.I. Joe, an awful lot that isn't actually on the website, particularly on the vintage side of things. So probably the best thing is to drop a line there if you're looking for anything in particular. If I can help out, I'll do my best. In terms of shout outs, well, thanks to you guys for inviting me on this lovely, for me, it's Wednesday afternoon. For you, it's Tuesday morning, I suppose, or something like that.
It's
Wherever you are.
It's Cinco de Mayo. We can't be off day drinking, so we might as well talk today.
Cinco,
right.
Let's have a special Cinco de Mayo show. Where are we going to go? England.
But big shout out to all like the UK collectors out there who are enjoying not just like the stuff that they've always loved and embraced, but also this whole new stuff that's coming through from the G.I. Joe Retro and like G.I. Joe Classifieds. Specifically, Gavin Chillstone is always like the biggest like G.I. Joe fan ever. Nick Whitmore, Matt Paul, John Hall, Steve Dawson, Chris McLeod, Eddie Inman, Bill Ledson. Bill's like always calling up. Like lots of people that I can't even think of now on the spot. But
Nigel St. George.
Yes, yeah. All of those guys and so much more. All of the US based guys who I haven't spoken to in like a million years. Hi. Hope you're all doing well.
You went and made a list, and now you've left people off who are going to be insulted.
Yes.
Never make lists. Never make lists.
Well, exactly. And to friends who are absent, who've not been able to like join us today, which is majority of everybody. But please like and subscribe. How far are we off from the 1,000 viewers, 1,000 subscribers?
We're at 536, but that's okay considering we just hit 500 a couple weeks ago.
We're on our way.
I'm going to be throwing in a few things into the pot for the 1,000 subscribers. So a care package will be on its way to Mike.
And maybe I'll tell you what's in it once we get a few more subscribers up there.
Cunning.
A lot of that depends on you guys, whether you're watching us live or you're watching us on recording. A lot of it depends on you guys liking our video and sharing our video in your various social media circles, because when I share our videos, it doesn't do anything. It does not. The Facebook algorithms and the YouTube algorithms do not mesh. So if I'm sending things to groups, nobody sees it. So please, it's up to you guys. If we're going to grow this thing,
grow it.
Let's go.
Water it.
It's you. It's you, and we will blame David Tree if it doesn't, and we will just
please do. Everybody else does. So
sure. I figured it wouldn't matter much.
It's nothing I haven't handled before.
Right. Mark, you got a quick shout out or two?
I want to shout out to the Houston Astros. Here's a sign you can steal. It's a baseball reference.
Baseball.
We'll see. We got a couple of contenders, and they've got till Friday to actually make it into my shout out. So be good to me the rest of the week. Maybe you'll get a mention on the big show.
And I will give a shout out to our missing host, Joe Colton, who I'm sure would have loved to be here, but just, again, she's got a job that doesn't let her do that during the day. To Mark Weber, to our special guest, David Tree.
Oh, yeah.
To the unofficial fourth, well, I shouldn't say unofficial, but to the unheralded fourth member of the What's on Joe Mind team, Racktime Rob, to our wonderful sponsor, Kokomo Toys, and to everyone watching this video at home, you get our special Cinco de Mayo shout out.
Ahua!
So I think there's a graphic for that you can add to your Twitter account. I think no, there's not.
No,
there's not. There's nothing. But you can prove your love to us by sharing our video and liking and leaving a comment and subscribing and
you get street cred on Friday. You can tell everybody, where were you? We need to make shirts. I was there at the Non-Sequitur Cinco de Mayo celebration. Yeah.
Did you notice in the graphic I put a tree? It was the sun coming up over the mountain with a lone tree. That was the one hint that I left.
Wow.
Pretty slick.
I was very proud of myself.
Well done. Gold star.
Pat myself on the back there. Whose gimmick was that, Mark?
Barry Horowitz.
Barry Horowitz.
Yeah. The winner, Barry Horowitz.
We got our pro wrestling match. Dave is totally lost. We could have just said he was David Eckstein's brother. It wouldn't have mattered.
He might have been. Never, David Eckstein could beat Barry Horowitz. That's for sure.
Yeah, he could.
Now we got Jeremy Bullock loading up Barry Horowitz into the cargo hold.
Yeah, that's not even a contest. You just
and everybody's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
You just assume he's there already.
Who put out a bounty on friggin' Barry Horowitz? Come on.
WCW bookers, that's who.
Probably SD Jones, waiting for that special delivery.
So that's it from here. What's on Joe Biden Central? Thanks again for being a part of our Cinco de Mayo celebration. Have a great rest of the day. Enjoy your Thursday, and we will see you Friday night at 9. Be sure to be here. Thanks again. Have a great afternoon. Dave Tree. Last word, Dave Tree.
Hello.
Good luck.